Welcome to Beauty Superstars Talk, your backstage pass to experts in beauty. My name is Miki Wright, and each and every week I have the privilege to interview Black beauty bosses who are doing amazing things in the beauty industry. We give voice to their stories and celebrate their excellence while they drop nuggets to help all of us become better beauty pros and better entrepreneurs. More than a podcast, this is a movement to encourage Black excellence, entrepreneurship, to preserve our history, and to bring healing to the beauty industry. Hello, hello. I want to welcome you to Beauty Superstars Talk. My name is Miki Wright, and Beauty Superstars Talk is your backstage pass to experts in beauty. And if you have ever seen a Fashion Week fashion show and wondered who in the world would wear something like that, you've actually seen Avant Garde fashion. It's actually meant to be aspirational. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to influence what we wear on a day-to-day basis. And today we have the privilege to meet the 2021 winner of the North American Hairstyling Awards, known as NAHA, the North American Hairstyling Awards Avant Garde winner. She is Sharie Valcin, and we are super excited to have her here. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the Professional Beauty Association, who sponsors NAHA, their definition of what avant-garde is and what they're looking for in this competition, because you're going to get to see, hopefully our technology will stay with us, but you'll get to see some of her fabulous creations and see what goes into it and into making it a winner. So a Professional Beauty Association says avant-garde is about breaking boundaries, elevating artistry, and creating extraordinary looks. And when you see these images, you're going to be like, whoa. The North American Hairstylist Avant-Garde category recognizes hairstylists that create artistic, innovative, unique, and experimental concepts that push our collective consciousness about what hair can do. So you are in for a real treat, and we are super happy to welcome you, Sharie. So how
Yes,
are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Miki, for having me. It's a total honor. I've been looking forward to speaking with you and, talking more about the collections and letting everyone know, my thoughts behind it, what inspired me, and all that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we cannot wait to dig in. But I'm gonna just share a little bit of your bio, and we will
Sure.
get started. So, Sharie Valcin is a hair artist and color educator who gained her start at Trio Salon in Chicago, Illinois, where she spent almost 10 years before merging with George Charles Salon in 2020. She is known for her stunning color corrections and vibrant transformations on all textures, as well as her love for creating impactful art. Her desire to challenge herself creatively has gained her national recognition, becoming
Mhm.
a U.S. Goldwell Color Zoom finalist in 2017, as well as being named a NAHA 2020 finalist in both color and cutting. In 2021, she took home a NAHA award in the Avant Garde category for her Jellyfish Collection. Let your imagination go for a little bit. And Cherie hopes to continue to expand her platform as a creative and use her passion for education to inspire others to reach their full potential. When she's not behind the chair, she finds joy in spending time with family and being entertained by her three children. So,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I always love to know, like, how did you even get started in beauty? You have all of these accolades and
Yeah. I was just I started off going into like marketing in college, and then I eventually changed lanes later, just because I always loved, even when I was little, I always loved playing in hair, playing in my friend's hair. We had some disasters, but I always liked trying different things,
right.
and it led me into going to beauty school. I think it was around 2011. And I eventually was started with Trio Salon, where I was for a majority of my career. And I met some amazing people. Alex Awanu, who was the former owner at Trio, he was such a great mentor, and he always pushed me to like try new things. And everyone there, we just elevate each other. And that was like my first sense of like, this is just an inclusive business. Like we can all uplift and win together. And yeah, from there I just kind of started to like test myself a little bit. But the Jellyfish Collection definitely changed everything for me.
So, how so? Tell us how it changed everything.
So I did the collection in 2020. So that was like right in the middle of the pandemic. There was a lot of like the Black Lives Matter movements, like was happening. There was a lot the George Floyd situation.
Mhm.
Everything kind of just it was the world was just a mess, right? And I had the desire to create something like meaningful, and I thought about it. I was watching Finding Nemo with my kids because this is another thing about our industry. We could find inspiration anywhere, right? So I was
Right.
watching Finding Nemo with my kids, and the jellyfish scene came up, and I guess I was thinking about hair at the same time, and the two kind of collided. I was like, I wonder if I can do something like that with hair. And then I looked up the meaning of jellyfish, and it has like the representation means like your inner beauty, letting your light shine from within, um, being transparent. And I was like, this is perfect. And I want this to be translated and have something more impactful, a deeper meaning. So, yeah, I wanted to do like melanated jellyfish. And
All right.
yeah, so like, let's
Yeah,
do this.
it's your collection is so powerful, which is, just in and of itself, like the stunningness of the, just the
Thank
photo,
you.
and then hearing kind of what's behind it is
Yeah.
always, makes it that much more impactful. And so you created this, based on,
Mhm.
hair and Finding
Finding
Nemo
Nemo.
colliding.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and so what happened to you and your career and everything else after that collection?
Um, I think that was like the first moment when I really tested something. I created something that was like original. I had no idea how to make headpieces. I'm not, I have no background training on headpieces. I just had that vision. And it was the first time that I said to myself, like, I have to see this through. And seeing it through and then telling people about it. Like I created a team, which with like some people in the industry that I'm very close to still, and we still do a lot of projects together. But I created this team and I shared the vision with them, and they stood behind it. So it's like, okay, I have to really make this happen because it's not just me who believes in this vision.
Mhm.
I have other people that believe in this vision too. So um, we came together and we saw it through. I had some pitfalls. I had some situations with, some of the clothing. That's why they're naked too. On
Okay.
we ran into an issue on set, and I had some reflective like clothing that kind of represents like that a luminous look that you see with jellyfish. And we went to shoot it. And initially, when I spoke to the photographer, she's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." But then the day of, it didn't represent well on camera. So we were all standing there like, what do we do now? Because this is a huge portion. I wove the fabric into the hair. I did all of that. So
Okay.
it was an all day shoot because I had to go back, take it all apart while we were on set and kind of recreate the look without the fabric. And I had a moment where it was like I could either choose to, go forward or I could turn back. And I just pushed through. And that moment right there for me changed me in a way where I felt empowered because I didn't give up on what my original vision was, and the people that were there supporting me. Everyone kind of came together and we all kind of pitched in ideas like, okay, we can still save everything. And it came out better than anybody could ever imagine. So I'm grateful that it kind of made me a stronger person, just being able to persevere um, through something that like could be detrimental. Someone could, if anybody else going through that, you could have had a moment where you're like, it's not going to work. Let's hang it up or shoot another day. But all the models were there, makeup was there. Um, we had everything there, so we all just put our heads together and said, okay, let's make this work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is phenomenal because a lot of times things don't go as we plan,
Right. Right.
especially with something creative, and as creative as that. So,
Yes.
one thing that stands out for me is that you had a team or were able to put together a team and they actually saw the vision with
Yes.
you. And I
Yes.
think that's a little bit unusual that
Yes.
sometimes you have something in your head, but other people are like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a partner. She like when I speak to her, there's very few people when you speak to them, they think on the same wavelength. Like she gets me.
Right.
And so whenever I share something with her, she's like, "Oh yeah," and then we kind of like brainstorm ideas together. But when I talk to, like, say, the makeup artist, I think everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds cool," but no one really kind of understood. But they were on board because they trusted me, which is I'm also grateful for. It's just
Right.
having surrounding yourself with people that believe in you, even if they don't fully see the vision. They thought it was a cool idea, but I don't think they really understood what was going on in my head because no one can see what's going on in your mind except for you, right? So it just it meant a lot to me to have their support, not knowing what the full vision looked like. But then after seeing it come to fruition, everyone was just blown away, including myself, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, and
Yeah.
I think creating those types of relationships are like
Mhm.
so key. Where you have that
Yes.
almost a creative bestie. That is
Yes.
like.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned mentorship and the role that your salon owner played in your life, and I guess the whole team atmosphere. So share with us, what that was like for you. It's like now I know we're in a time where people are a lot of times wanting to go into a suite or work
Yeah.
alone and kind of be their own boss. But what did
Right.
that do for you in your
Right.
career?
I think having a mentor is everything because it's someone that is willing to not only help you execute your vision, but someone that's pushing you beyond your limitations sometimes. Because sometimes some people see something in you that you don't even see within yourself. So just having a person that's kind of like willing to push you beyond your own boundaries and help you discover that inner fire and who you really are is so impactful in your growth for like your career and your personal life too. I just seeing having my mentor with me. It was not just my salon owner. It was Mio Sota. She's another stylist that was also a NAHA winner. She won Hairstylist of the Year in 2017
Mhm.
and she worked at the salon with us. So she was the one that was on set with me that day. And once I came to that moment when things were like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. She was like, we're going to pull this together. It's going to come together. And she kind of like made me pull my big girl pants on and, see it through. And that empowerment gave me the confidence and the courage to do everything else that I've done since NAHA. It's now like, okay, I don't look at any situation like I can't make it past this. How am I going to get to this? Because I had that mentor now, and she pushed me to see something in myself that I didn't know existed. Now I'm in a space where I'm like, okay, I know I can see something through because I did it before. I could do it again. I'll make it happen instead of saying I can't, it won't happen, or I can't make it happen. I just go into a situation like it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen since that situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that that personal development piece is one that we kind of
Everything.
underestimate in our industry.
Mhm.
Have you seen
Right.
that?
Yeah. Just since 2020, I've been working on myself personally, and it's translated artistically because I've been spending so much time investing every day. I listen to motivational speeches, Les Brown and Eric Thomas, TD Jakes. I listen to Steve Harvey even. I listen to so many people that just say these uplifting words and just it reminds me. It's almost like it sets the tone for the day, And I feel like every day we kind of need to do that reset, and by me working on myself personally, it kind of allows me to realize that I can do anything I set my mind to. And I think that's the biggest thing that people need to work on in this industry is the fear. A lot of people don't try what they have envisioned or have these crazy ideas but never see it through because of the fear.
Mhm.
And once you work on your mindset and just understanding that fear is normal, you should embrace it. Obstacles happen, run towards them, not away from them. And you can see anything through if you really have that perseverance and the commitment. And your dream is big enough, you'll see it through. If you
Yeah,
really do.
yeah. I love that. And I want to take what you were saying and kind of translate it into the salon,
Yeah,
because that's one of the things that I see that a lot of times, obviously we're creative. That's why we go into
yeah,
this and we see things in our head, but we don't even have the confidence or comfort level to share what we see for a particular client with that client.
right,
And so,
exactly.
how have you seen that show up or change for you or
Um,
people around you?
I think just going into a situation, once you kind of work on like, because I think even I'm a salon educator at George Charles Salon, so even with the apprentices that I'm overseeing, I'm not just teaching them consultations and color formulations. I'm trying to train their mind as well as to, adversity happens. Color situations go bad, but I think if you go into a situation with a mindset of just, I can do this and be solution oriented instead of, once a problem arises, you get lost. Just staying focused. I think all of that is a mindset training, and it helps you become that much better of a hairstylist because you're setting yourself up for success when you can speak to a client confidently because you have already reassured yourself that you can overcome any obstacle. So now it's just that in your client senses that too. They feel a sense of comfort once you're talking to them. They're like, okay, she seems like she's very sure of herself,
Right.
and listening too, is super important. um, and being able to understand and recycle information back to them so they know that you understand.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Can you dive a little bit more into that, the whole listening piece? Because I think that's something we underestimate
Oh,
as well.
100%. I think that's the main thing that clients want when they sit in your chair. They sit there and they're explaining what they want, but I think it's just creating that dialogue with them and that sense of comfort where they can say what they want and you repeating back to them what they're saying so that they understand that this person, okay, is here to listen to me, and they feel that much more comfortable in your chair. But I think listening is like the most important thing in consultations, just personally too, just
Mhm.
like hearing each other out. It's super, super important, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And I I had a salon and spa before, and one of the things that we did when things were getting a little lax in terms of, like, I think we always had great customer service, but it was like we weren't up
Hmm.
to that standard. And so we had a team meeting where I had everyone wear a big yellow sign on the front of them that said "Make me feel important." And so
Yeah.
everywhere you looked,
Yeah.
thing you saw was "Make me feel important," and I
Yeah.
think that's all the clients really want at
Hmm.
the end of the day.
Yeah.
And when you're listening to them and they feel heard, they
Yeah.
feel important.
Yeah. I always tell my students to imagine that it's yourself sitting in the chair.
Hmm.
How would you want someone to talk to you? It's the same exact thing. You make someone feel important, and treat them like they're an individual instead of like, oh, they're just, another person in your chair. It's like
Right.
really develop a connection with your client, really hear them out, really try to understand. Like everyone's different. Everyone has different personalities. Um, but yeah, I think it's super important to just treat each person individually instead of just approaching a situation in a generalized manner. You know?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. All these things are like the keys to the success. It's like
Yeah,
we always want, like, what's the secret? It's like all these little things on
yeah,
a regular basis.
yeah. And I think that not to bring God into the situation, but
Mhm.
I gave myself to God in 2020, and ever since, like this is around right before the jellyfish situation. I
Okay.
promise you, my life has changed because I've just approached every situation with gratitude
Mhm.
and not taking things personally. Like because sometimes people have bad days,
Right.
but just approaching a situation just from with kindness and love and trying to be a good human being, and um, that's changed my life. And I feel like once you create that type of frequency, you radiate that to others, and I feel like they can feel that.
Mhm.
It's not just you're putting on a show and trying to make a sale. I think it's genuinely being that person, genuinely being a good human being.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have believed that everything is energy. And
Yes,
so people
everything.
feel, when you say
100%.
that, like it's not a show, this is who you really are,
Yes.
and your concern is genuine and your gratitude is genuine. So yeah, definitely. Now, all of that happened like during 2020.
Mhm.
We all know the pandemic was,
Mhm.
started in March of 2020, and salon closings and all kinds of different things were going on, like you say, with the George Floyd, murder and all of those, the uprising of the world, the country, our
Yeah,
industry,
yeah,
all those things. How did that year, it sounds like it was a really profound year for you.
very profound.
Yeah. How did it affect you? How did it affect your business, your salon business, your,
Yeah, it just like once again, gratitude. It just made me really appreciate all that I have. Just tomorrow's not promised. Just being present, living in the moment, and not being afraid to conquer your dreams. You can do anything you set your mind to. Once I put that within myself, that anything that we want to achieve, we can. It's really the shift of the mindset that happened in 2020. I altered how I think, and it's changed everything
mm,
going forward. Just because I approach everything in a situation where I have more courage, or even if I am a little scared, I embrace the fear. Even with this interview, it's like, okay, this is, we're just Mickey, right? We're just talking, but
right.
I'm embracing. I was a little nervous, but I'm just trying to embrace all of the fears and allowing it to contribute to my growth because that's what it does. Like on the other side of fear is courage.
Yeah.
So just trying to get past that, the scenarios that we create in our head. That's another thing within the industry. We create problems before they exist. You look at a client, they come in and, they, especially after the pandemic, right? You had 3 inches of roots and all people at home colors. And, you could look at the situation like, this is not going to go well, like, what am I going to do? But it's just,
Right.
we tell ourselves we create defeat before we even start the process. So
Hmm.
it's just remembering to stay present and approaching everything, trusting our skill set. It's another thing. A lot of people use that fear steers them away from their skill set. And then they start questioning their own, what they're doing. Like, oh, maybe I should try this or maybe this. Then they go off track. But I always tell my students to have a blueprint and stick to your blueprint. Once you have a game plan with each client, like, okay, this is how I'm going to approach it, and stick to that blueprint. Because once you veer off, then you create more issues. Then you're backtracking on what you did, and it creates a whole nother issue. So yeah, this thing, staying present.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And was there anything that was a specific catalyst for your big change that year?
God, it was God. I spent a lot of time because we were in the house a lot, right?
Okay.
I spent a lot of time, just talking to God and building a relationship. Uh,
Hmm.
my sister is like a woman that's on fire for God. So she has definitely been like my mentor spiritually. And I really think just, you know, expressing gratitude and living a life that's just more, I just create this sense of peace. Once I created that peace, I found peace. And
Mm,
once I found that peace, it's changed everything just because now I know what brings me peace and I chase that. I chase things that bring me peace, things that bring me happiness, and I don't question things, or I don't try to what is it like do create scenarios
okay.
that are not conducive to growth or are negative thoughts. I try not to entertain negativity too much. I try to, if it come, it's hard to erase negativity completely, but I try to just move forward and not dwell on things too long, not hold grudges.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's brought me so much peace and um, yeah, doing other things, trying other things, being creative, um, and things that I've envisioned. This is another thing that I've heard. Sorry if I'm rambling, but this is another thing that I heard. It was a message of our imagination is a preview of God's coming attractions, right?
Mm,
So things that exist in my mind, a lot of the times, like, oh, that would be a cool idea. Now, when I think about it, I'm like, that's a cool idea. I'm gonna make it happen.
okay. Right,
Why
right.
can't I? Why can't we, create things that exist in our mind? You
Yeah.
know, and that's kind of like what gets me going, with new projects. I think of things. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can make that happen. Why not?
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking about desire.
Yeah.
And that word, when broken down, is like of the Father. And so it's like
Mhm.
if God gives you the desire and like you say,
Yeah.
the vision that, like, oh, you could do that,
Yeah.
he will give you the rest that you need to do it.
Yes.
The courage and the
Yes.
strategy. And like you said, I actually want to dive into like, there's one thing to get the vision.
Right.
There's one thing to say, I'm going to do the vision, but
Right.
then you have to actually, get
Yeah.
in and execute. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Okay, what am I doing
That's
now?
the part that excites me. But I have the vision, but the part that excites me is the process because
Okay.
now you're like, you gotta break it down, because one with the jellyfish, I'm like, I don't know how to make a headpiece. So
Yeah. So
the
talk to us
thing
about that. I think
yeah.
that's really
So
interesting.
like with that, I kind of I sketched what I kind of wanted to see. And
Mhm.
then with each image, I dove even further, like how can I recreate that look? Um, the most difficult one was the jellyfish where it folds over in the front. That was an umbrella hat, and
Yeah.
I literally glued wefts of hair around this umbrella hat. It probably wasn't the most original like because I didn't make it myself, but I didn't know how to make a headpiece, and I was like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna, why not? I just have to make something that translates well, right? You're
Right.
going for that look, and my dad, he's like an engineer.
Mhm.
So I would go to him like, okay, dad, I want to create this look. How can I, and he would give me ideas, go back and forth with him. His name is Eugene and I call him Eugenius, but he's been with me through all of the headpiece creations because he thinks kind of like me, or I think like him. We break things down like, okay, you need to create a base and something that's comfortable that sits on the head. And so going into the jellyfish, I didn't have prior experience with creating that headpiece. So I just took what I did know, and what I didn't know, I researched. So I went on YouTube and I looked up videos of how to create headpieces, and um, it just evolved from there. And I would test things out, and I had ladies' nights at my house, and I would invite my girlfriends over, like, "Hey, you guys want to come help me make these headpieces?"
Okay.
Yeah, these are girls who don't have any experience with hair, but they saw my, the frustrations. I remember one of the headpieces I tore apart just because it wasn't coming together. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's not, doesn't look good," and I tore it apart. And everyone's like, "What are you doing? You spent hours on that."
Right.
In my mind, it's like if it doesn't look like what I envisioned, it's not good enough,
Yeah.
And I just kept trying, didn't give up. You just don't give up and you persevere, and you keep on finding, new things about yourself. You discover so much about yourself when you're trying to conquer something that you've never done before, that hasn't been seen as original. You learn so much about yourself, and it's super empowering. But yeah, that's how it started. And then the next headpiece, I actually was a little bit better with that
Okay.
cobra head that's also on my page. I had a little bit more done a little bit more research on the headpieces, so I had a little bit more knowledge going into that. So that one was a little bit. I felt better than my
Okay.
jellyfishes.
Can
Turned.
I
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I don't wanna interrupt you, but I wanna,
No.
see if we can, pause for just a second to get some of these images up. We're gonna
Yeah.
try this, so everybody bear with us, but we're gonna try to bring the images up so as you're sharing, it's like we can actually see what you're
Sure.
referencing. So let's do this. And so this one, I think, is the one that you were just referencing.
Yeah. It's an umbrella hat.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So her hair originally like had the fabric that within it, so we had to take that down. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the top are just pearl beads that we like strategically placed.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we just started placing the braids all around, and we use blow dryers on both sides to create that effect where it blows out. Um,
Okay.
and then underneath that headpiece, she has on a blonde wig.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so we see like so much dimension, we
yeah,
see color.
yeah. So a lot of the effects with the jellyfish is from gel lighting. So
Okay.
a lot of the color is from the lighting. Mhm,
Uh-huh.
mhm.
Very cool. And so talk to us about photographer and makeup artist and
Yeah,
those choices and how
yeah,
that piece represents, because you can make the most beautiful
yes,
headpiece, but
yeah.
if you can't get it captured the
Oh my
way that
god.
you're envisioning, it's still
Well,
not there.
exactly. So Noemi Capetillo, she was my photographer, and she she definitely is like a super artsy person herself, multi-talented. She does hair, makeup, photo shoots. She does it all. Her and her husband, they do a lot of photo shoots together. But um, she, while we're on set, she's a person that also will listen. This is another thing that we're going back to listening. It's super important that we listen to each other. But she listened to me and she was patient, because of what happened. Any other photographer would have said, hey, pack it up, I don't have all day. But she was patient, and uh, she listened to me and took the time to really like capture the right angles, and it translated so well. And I think once she kind of listened, then she understood the vision as well.
Okay.
um, yeah, she's definitely pivotal in how these images translated, because it could have been anybody else. And if they didn't really truly understand or listen to try to understand the vision, it wouldn't have been, the outcome wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, and just to clarify for anyone that's watching that may not be familiar with the North American Hairstyling Awards,
Mhm.
it is actually a photo competition.
Yeah.
So everything is in the photograph.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want to share the other two pieces of the collection. And would you tell us, like, what is a collection?
Yeah,
How
sure.
does that need to weave together?
Yes. Oh, are you posting them or okay.
Well, I'm trying. Yes, as I'm a little slow here. We may be
Yeah.
able to edit this out.
Yes. So
So
this
another
piece
one.
was fun. I love explaining this stuff because I also want to inspire people too, that anyone could submit to NAHA, because I didn't have a lot of people have amazing resources, right? I didn't have that. So I had to get creative with my resources and, rely on my team for, all of us to come together to execute stuff like this. But for this image, this client, this model, she has locks, natural locks, and we took blonde hair, and we weaved that blonde hair around her locks, just like the front half. And then we that for that ring around her head, it was actually a part of a lampshade. That
Oh,
ring, the wire ring in a lampshade that I took apart because I was like, it needs to be, flowy from all directions. And so once again, that friend that I have, her name's Kylie, she was like, "How about you use this lamp?" I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" So we put the lamp together and we wove the some faux locks into it to make it more voluminous, and we wrapped some pieces in holographic tapes to give that effect too.
mm,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, and talk to us about your model choices. It's like you have
yeah,
beautiful Black models that are very
yeah,
brown and rich skin, and I'm sure the
yes,
makeup kind of played into what
yes.
you were.
I definitely wanted a melanated jellyfish shoot because I just feel like I wanted to showcase, women of color again. Once for the time period that we were in and everything that we're going through, I think jellyfish and the symbolism really spoke to women of color. The inner strength and fire. But the models that I used were actually friends of mine.
Oh,
They were all, we all knew each other. Like this model here is my husband's sister's friend. And
okay.
then the previous model was my esthetician, or at Trio Salon, she was our esthetician. And then for the last image, she was another friend of mine. So once again, I used people I knew, that I think would photograph beautifully, and everyone showed up. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, incredible.
yeah,
Absolutely incredible. And then you told us about the wardrobe malfunction
yes,
before. So now that we're looking at the image, it's like we see,
yeah. They're all naked.
again, yeah.
Yeah,
So, what
yeah,
was that like for, like on the set when you're trying to figure out what they're gonna wear and then you're like, "Oh, you're not gonna wear
yeah,
it."
yeah. Um, I think this model was the only model that was a little like, okay, but she rocked it out. She was still wearing an undergarment, but
Uh-huh.
everybody was topless.
Okay.
So I think just creating a comfortable environment so that so that they could, you know, um, be in a situation where they're not fully clothed and
Mhm.
still pull off a good shot. So yeah, she rocked it out. Just not having because the fabric was initially going to be like draped a little bit, but it turned out so much better with them being um, naked.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you kind of couldn't have made it any better than these
No,
images are.
yeah.
I can't imagine. I think this one might be my favorite.
Oh, everyone's favorite. Everyone loves it. So this is another one of my friends that I shot. She has some modeling experience, so she knew her angles, right? She knew how to
Good.
pose. But we created this huge fro, um, doing like the Rick wrecking method, and then just picking it all out. And uh, that wire was supposed to be wrapped in the fabric once again, but we had to go back and use this holographic tape to create the effect that the fabric would have or should have translated on camera. But yeah, everything else we played with pieces and attached them on the inside of that wig that she's wearing. So all of the models are either wearing wigs or have weave woven into their hair. Um, there was no like that's another thing that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to have to chemically alter, you know, any of
Mhm,
my girls' hair because I know everyone there all of these girls are very big on protecting their natural hair. So um,
mhm.
these looks are all headpieces or wigs.
Yep, absolutely gorgeous.
Mhm.
And then how did you get it so, like your typical afro would start kind of from the hairline
Yes.
up. How did you get it so
So
that it
because
was
it was so big, it kind of came
in
over the front, and we
okay,
literally, like, used clippers to create that perfect shape, but it just naturally mushroomed over her head because it was such a big afro.
okay.
So, yeah, it worked out perfectly, and the way that, it's flowy, we were just throwing the hair up. Literally, we would go in, throw the hair up, step back, she would try to catch the shot, and, it took a lot of takes. That and
Okay.
the other one before this with the locks, that
Uh-huh.
was just me on one side and then my partner on the other, and we were just tossing the hair up and trying to catch the perfect shot, and,
Right.
um, yeah.
Yeah, well, you did. You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, this is
Congratulations.
one I think this is my favorite as well.
Yeah, and how did you get kind of, we got the blue luminous
Mhm.
look on the
And that's
top.
the
How'd
the
you
the
get
gel
the
lighting. The gel lighting plays a huge role
blue?
in translating because I didn't have to color anything.
Mhm.
Everything most of the hair, is blonde to begin with, so it just reflects whatever light's bouncing on it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yes.
Yeah, a beautiful collection.
Thank
And
you.
so with a collection, it's like I got to be a judge for NAHA this past year,
Oh,
which was
cool.
22, I think. And I know, just kind of in general from competing and doing all kinds of things through the years, like not everyone gets what a collection is. So
Yeah.
can you share with us your
Yeah,
take
so
on that?
it's a cohesive group of 3 images that, just are they could be connected or they can be individual, but they have to somehow share, just a common, I don't know how you wanna say this. They just have to share, like, a common theme, uh,
Mhm,
throughout all 3, I guess you would say, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, congratulations on the
Thank
win.
you.
It's like that's phenomenal.
Mhm.
It's like there are still only a handful, I guess you could say, of Black artists who have won NAHA in various different segments.
There'll be more.
Yes, yes, there
Yeah.
will be more, and there are more. It's
Yes.
like, and this year, I think this was 2022. I'm not even sure which year it was, but there were the most Black finalists,
Love it.
which was wonderful, and the work was
Mhm.
superb. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an honor to be here with you. But
Like,
2021 wasn't your first entry into NAHA.
no, no.
So let's talk about 2020. That seemed like a really big year as well.
Yeah. So, 2020, I entered into color and cutting. Those images were shot for another competition initially. It was shot for Global, like I think it's Global Zoom now, but it was Color Zoom
Mhm.
back then. And we took a bunch of shots. So I entered different shots for Color Zoom than I did for NAHA, but it was the same initial shoot. And the theme, um, I think during that time, Goldwell kind of had like a theme that they did every year. When you entered, your models had to kind of follow um, your own interpretation of their theme. And
Mhm.
so you'll see they all had this little short wispies up top. That was kind of like one of the signature parts of the theme when because they'll release images of, I think it's like 8 models, and just to show you like the overall theme of what the competition is, and you do your own interpretation. So that was one thing that I took from it, that those
Mhm.
little pieces you see up top. But I had to pre-lighten all of the models' hair, bleach them all out. So I had to find models that were okay with, removing all of the pigment from their hair in order to create something that's super vibrant and cutting too. I also had to find models that were comfortable with taking off what was necessary for the look. So models play such an important role in competition work and photographic work, just because not everyone knows how to pose, one, but not every models are not all comfortable with, you doing whatever it is that you want to do to their hair. You sometimes you're met with a lot of resistance, and um, I was fortunate enough to have a great group of girls for that collection as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's like fabulous. I'm going to show some of the
Oh,
images for that. And for the for that segment, is it color and cut together, or is it color separate and cut separate?
it was separate.
Okay, so you were a finalist in both segments?
Yeah, yeah.
Congrats.
I know. Thank you. It's surreal to think about. But yeah, it was when it happened, I was blown away. Um, and still am, because I had fun with that shoot as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So while I'm getting this up, tell us what made you interested in entering NAHA in the first place?
So, as I had mentioned prior, my coworker Mia Soda, she was the former hairstylist of the year in 2017, and I think sometimes what's missing, um, for a lot of people to enter competitions, is just having someone that's that close to you, and you see them experience something and you're like, I want to do that. I want to experience that. It's like you're dreaming, but the person that you aspire to be like is in such close proximity to you that you're that much more impacted from their success. And she was the one that took me under her wing and mentored me. She was on this shoot as well.
Mhm.
Just kind of guiding me into like model poses and what translates the best on camera. So good to have a mentor, and she did a phenomenal job helping me out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many great things about this image and the images that I'll share, as part
Yeah.
of your collection. But tell us what your thoughts were, what your intention was, because I see so much in terms of,
Yeah.
not only the hair design, but of
Yes.
course the clothing and that type of thing plays
Yes.
a role, but even the placement of the clothing. Like
Yeah.
she could have worn this and it would have not had the same impact
Right.
wise.
Right. So the initial look that we were going for was like vintage, like rock vintage.
Hmm.
So with this jacket, which is super crazy, the day of the shoot, one of the models wore this jacket into the salon, and we looked at each other and we're like, we got to use this jacket. This jacket has to be a piece in the photo shoot. And
Right.
so, we tested it out on set and we draped it over them different ways. You'll see in each image, the jacket is kind of worn a little bit differently. But just think little things like that. The day of, this became a piece for the shoot. Um, and as far as her makeup, it was very classic. All the girls had red lips. I didn't want to do too much with makeup because I knew the hair was going to be loud. Um, we did a lot of color blocking. So every model has different color blocking techniques. And the inspiration behind this was tulips. So if you look
Mm,
at the images and the color combinations, it's reminiscing of like tulips when you see in the springtime, those color combinations.
mhm,
Here we did a lot of melting. So hers is just like a vibrant pink melted into a intense orange, and then
mm.
like a sunsetty orange, and then into a vibrant yellow. But once again, same thing, classic lip, red lip. Um, and she's wearing that more of a vintage outfit and has the jacket placed different. The jacket played such a huge role, but yeah, it turned out amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I love the like the vibrancy of the colors that they're wearing along with
Yeah.
the hair because it would be easy to go with something that was really plain to
Yes.
let the hair shine, but it really stands out
Yeah.
because of the yeah, the hair, I mean the selections with the vibrancy of the
Yeah.
clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really spectacular job and
Thank
congratulations
you.
on 2 finalist positions, which is incredible.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, this is another one. We did like a shine line. I don't know if you can see where it's like that really pigmented yellow, but then you see like a halo almost of like the paler yellow color. That was another theme for Color Zoom at the time was like the shine lines and the wispies at the top. So we created a pale yellow shine line to kind of almost make it look like her hair is shiny. You know, when you take a like a picture of an image and you see that natural shine line with uh with hair. We wanted to recreate that with color. And yeah, once again, color blocking in her bang. We started off with that same thing, that fuchsia into the red. So I tried to tie each. Um, I took like one color from each model and made sure that the other model had that color as well, so that it was more cohesive too, and translated well. But same thing, she's wearing a vintage dress. It's almost like what do you like I want to say like 19 uh 20s, but 19, it could be anywhere between 1920s, 1960s, but we want to create something that's like vintagey meets old meets new, you know?
Right, right, and I see it looks like a shoulder pad in there.
Yes, yes, it had the square shoulders. I
Yeah,
love, yeah. And then
yeah.
we drape that jacket over in a different way.
So, what's the importance of knowing and understanding one fashion, and then kind of the decades of the looks that were
Yeah,
popular during,
right.
for hair and fashion during those times?
It's super important because I feel like that also contributes to how cohesive your look is. If you don't truly understand um, what era you're trying to follow or the look you're going for, it won't translate properly on camera. Um, but I think just knowing that that's what we're going for, but also being flexible too, like with this jacket coming into play literally on the way to the shoot, and working with it. Sometimes things happen like that, and just embracing um, change, you know, because that wasn't going to be a part of it, but it definitely made it. That made it that you know brought it all together.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was a great ad. So
Yes,
it's funny how things like that work.
yes,
I don't want to skip past the cutting because I think the cutting in
yes,
all of these is stellar. And it's like
yes,
you mentioned the trend of the, kind of pieces in the top, but
yeah.
it seems like in almost each image, you have another little tweak, like the little piece we see
Mhm.
sticking out of the side, I think is
Yeah.
such a nice balance.
Yeah, my mentor, once again, was the one that, she guided me on, creating these crisp lines and just making sure like that it shows up well. But our overall goal was to create the clean lines throughout all of the images, and not make anything too. We wanted everything to look very classic.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but like little wispies.
Yeah, the little wispies on the collar are
Yeah.
just like a phenomenal
Yes.
thing for your eye.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
when we look at the
To
cut,
draw your eye in a little bit, yeah.
yeah, and it just balances, and almost has that bird type of effect.
Yes, 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 that's
Yeah, but really exceptional lines and understanding of the head shape and the facial
mhm.
shape, all of those,
Our
where that.
everything. I think that's what makes a good photo is just understanding all of those little pieces and making them come together to fit this one puzzle, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Right,
yeah, yeah,
right. Yeah, and understanding even like where that bob line stops
yes,
with her face, I think that's just such a just
yeah,
perfection.
yeah.
So,
Tara, she's a fabulous model. Like she will hold a pose. Like if you say like, "Ooh, that's a good stay right there," she will freeze. You know,
okay,
she's another great hair model. Um,
excellent.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like so the team is super important. The mentorship is super important.
models, everything. It's all
Yeah.
pieces. You have to put the pieces to the puzzle first. Like once you develop that team,
Mhm.
um, find your models. You're you're bound to have a good photo. You know, once you have all of those elements in place.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And so with you said everything changed during, with that
Mhm.
win, with the win for the
Yes.
Jellyfish Collection. And so, from a career standpoint, were there opportunities that opened up for you that may not have been there?
Yeah, just collaborating. I think
Okay.
collaborating with other artists and having the opportunity to work with people that I probably would never have the opportunity to work with had I not won. Um, I think once you're on the level of NAHA, once your work gets out there, I had people reaching out to me. I did a Hair Slayers event in April where I collaborated with a lot of hair artists that I've admired, you know, and from afar. But I got to like work with them in person, and that's another thing that I had that nervousness of like, okay, I had to create a headpiece for this event, so it pushed me to continue to do something, step outside of my comfort zone, and grow.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And so, how did it influence your salon work? I mean, was it, I
Yeah,
mean, the work, the clientele, and I know you have.
yeah. I think all of everyone was impacted. The from the my clients to my students to the staff to the owner. I think everyone gets inspired by seeing someone else that they care about excel or
Mhm.
you know, achieve a goal that they've aspired to achieve. And I think that's just like my main goal in general. I feel like I've been gifted the talent of hair, but the doing hair has allowed me to do my real purpose, which I feel like is encouraging and inspiring other people. I find like the most satisfaction of just paying it forward and inspiring other people up and coming and showing people that it's possible that anyone could do it. So I think that's what they got from it. It's just like, you know, they saw it from A to Z. You know, they saw my trials and tribulations, and they I think that inspired them to now enter. So now there's going to be a couple girls that I believe are entering. Um, so that's amazing because then it just makes me feel like this is what it's all about. You know, we're just encouraging, inspiring uplifting one another. Um, you know, why not? It doesn't have to be nothing has to be a competition.
Mhm.
Everyone can win.
Right, right. Yep. And I think, like there's so much that you learn, like your
Mhm.
first, I don't know, was that your first entry in 2020?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So becoming a finalist in your first entry to
Yeah.
NAHA is amazing. Um, but even if you weren't a finalist, I think there's so many things that you learn from the process of going through the process.
Yeah. So
And
true.
yeah, and I don't even think that we really mentioned or emphasized that this particular award, the North American Hairstyling Awards, is the equivalent of the Oscars
Yeah.
for movies. It's like
Yeah.
this is the top, the creme de la creme kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Huge honor.
yeah, yeah. And I think just what it takes in terms of um focus, commitment, those, like you say, a lot of that self, removing the self-doubt or going through
Yeah.
it anyway.
Yeah. So much personal growth happens, and
Right.
really discover like it just makes you want more. You
Mhm.
know, I feel like once you achieve something on that level, you now, you know, it creates that sense of like accomplishment and wanting to try doing even more. Like, what can I do next? Or
Mhm,
what
mhm.
other crazy idea can I? So that's where I am now. It's just like, what can I create? What's
Right.
interesting?
So what is next for Sharie?
Um, I actually want to get into like creative directing on shoots, like coming up with concepts because I feel like um, I do have a lot of visions of things and it doesn't necessarily require me to be the hairstylist of that shoot, but I know the vision that I would love to execute. So
Right.
still doing hair, but moving into the creative directing process, that would be amazing. Um, and working with more photographers, building more relationships, networking. Um, so crazy. I got a call from Beyonce's hairstylist the other week, and I was just like, "What?" But she DM'd me, and I was like, "Is this who I think it is?" But as she was seeing if I was in LA, and of course I'm not. And but I told her I was like, "I could be there."
Yep, just to play
Yeah.
right away.
She needed me to be like more flexible, but just even things like that, it's just like, wow, if I really it's the law of attraction, like that energy you put out there, you'll get back. So I've just been trying to put expecting greatness to happen and um expecting the best, always expecting the best and never anticipating the worst.
Mhm.
It's been like life changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this has been just absolutely fantastic to
Oh, good.
because I think it's always interesting to hear the thoughts behind,
Yeah.
like really what it takes to do it because
Yeah.
we see the images and it's like that's,
Yeah.
breathtaking and gorgeous and I think it
Yeah.
was featured on the NAHA award.
Yeah, that's
List.
another thing that when I walked in, I was just blown away because I saw the billboards of my image um, and then the booklets, it just all was like so surreal, you know,
Mhm.
even still now to think about, but I had my friends there with me. I had my husband, and we were all there together, and we were just all like, "This is so crazy," because my old self wouldn't think that I could be at that level. So I also think it's super important for anyone listening that is aspiring to enter or aspiring to create something.
Mhm.
Just make the decision to do it and surround yourself with people that believe in your vision. Um, it's anything's possible if you really are if you're willing to commit to it. You know,
Yeah.
any yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's probably a perfect place for us to end. And
Yeah,
but I do want to let people know how they can get in contact with you.
sure. Yeah, you could follow me on Instagram here by Sharie84. And yeah, be on the lookout for some more creative stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you have a knack for putting the team together and all of that.
Yeah,
So
that's
really
essential. Yeah,
can't wait to see what's next.
yes. Yes,
Yeah, we will be
likewise.
on the lookout.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's like you're truly a beauty superstar, and it's like we appreciate you sharing so generously. And I know that there's at least someone watching, and I think a lot of someone
Yeah,
who are like totally like, "What? I could do
yeah.
that? Let me try it."
Anybody. That's my
Yeah.
ultimate goal. Anybody can do it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so we
Mm.
want to encourage you. And again, my name is Miki Wright. I'm with beautysuperstars.com. It's like I invite you to follow me on Instagram as well. It's just Miki, Miki, just four letters, Miki Wright. And I also have a free guide for a hairstylist power pricing workbook that you can pick up at beautysuperstars.com. So I
Mm.
encourage you to follow us for the next episode of Beauty Superstars Talk, and also that we have more than 80 interviews that I've done with amazing Black
Wow.
beauty bosses.
Amazing.
They are on my YouTube channel, which again is Miki Wright, MikiWright. And if you need any motivation, if you need any encouragement, if
Yeah.
you want to know how to do something or want to explore a different part of the industry, there are so many opportunities, whether it's film and television, whether it's being a salon owner and keeping your team in order, whether it's seeing some of the legends that are in our industry. and just seeing the greatness and the excellence that is within our industry. There's so many tips, gems, diamonds, nuggets to pick up. So don't sit around and not be busy and
Yeah,
or limit yourself in any way. So
yeah.
visit my YouTube channel at Miki Wright. So want to thank you again for joining us, taking time out of your day. I hope this has been enlightening, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. So keep reaching for the stars.
Yes.